Hey there, it's Greg, and in this episode we are going to be talking about the variables in DAX in Power BI, of course. While they might seem pretty straightforward, well, there are some gimmicks to them that will be helpful for you and will allow you to just skip some unnecessary trouble when working with very typical calculations. So let's get into it. Let's start from this report that you see on the screen. So I've got a nice dashboard with the countries, sales, and then I have one more column, this one. So this is exactly the measure we are going to be working with. Let's say that, well, while we have the sales, we now want to calculate the share of a given country in the grand total that we see on the bottom. So basically, this number, 93.5% for US, is just 4.7 billion divided by 5 billion, so the total. So we might want to use the variables for that exactly. And, let me try and write a measure that would help us with it. So let's start from creating a variable called sales. So that's our sales. Then we might want to calculate a measure, calculate a variable that would just sum up all the sales for all the countries that we see. So I would use calculate, then our variable that we have previously defined, and then I will use all selected and country, so that we basically remove the filter from country, and country is the table, is the column that we have right here. Then the last step will be just the result. So let's divide the individual sales by sales all countries. Perfect. And now last we just return that. Will that work? Let's see. And I will add that column in now. Oopsie, it didn't go into the table. So let's do that once again. And nope, we've got 100% all the time. And why didn't that work? Well, the gimmick and the trick is in the variables, actually. Because you might think that when we just create a measure, a variable, and we assign the sales measure to it, it's like referencing, it's a variable, so it can change. So you might think that the sales variable now is not like the value of sales, but it's like referencing the definition of the sales measure right here in the 7th row. So you might think that what I have written just now is precisely that. So this variable, when called right here, like we had it before, is just referencing the sales measure, what we have there, and it's just, recalculating. But actually it's not. And this is the gimmick, and here is actually the fix that will fix the thing, and well, now it works. But why? Well, let me tell you a little secret. The fact is that the variables in DAX are actually more like constants. So it's a little secret, and what actually happened before is that we tried to recalculate a constant. So that's not really possible, and it's just doing like something like that. Let's say that the sales is always, let it be 5, if that would be easier. And what was happening before is that for each row and, well, every place where this calculation was happening, we were trying to recalculate a fixed number. So it was like something like this: calculate 5, but then do some alterations, do some changes to it. And well, using this syntax, calculate something and then all selected or remove filters, similar things, or the all family functions, well, we are trying to change the calculation in somehow, usually remove the filter context. But well, you will not really remove the filter context or change anything about a fixed number that is already pre-calculated. And this was exactly what was happening before. So here we correctly assign the number, sales, and the measure. But well, when we try to then change this somehow, it's no longer possible, because the sales now, the variable is just equal to this number that to the evaluation result of the sales measure. So you could just as well say that if the sales measure evaluates to 5, then it's just like 5. And then when we reference it back here, it's just let's calculate 5 in some way, but that's not really possible. So what we want to do instead, because now we know that such syntax will not reference the syntax with variable will not reference the definition of the variable, but like the value that was already calculated, but right here. So it's 5 and here it's 5 again. What we need to do and how you will fix such situations is that you will need to again call the full definition of what you had before. So in this specific case, we want to calculate the sales measure again, but calculate it in the new context. I mean, change something about it. So something like this will work. Or also something like this will work. We have sales. Let's say that this is sales amount. This will also work perfectly fine. But if you would try to, again, do something like this, well, then we are already calculating the value of sales right in the third row, but then we are trying to change a fixed number that is already, 5. But, well, here we will not really be able to modify the number 5 ever again, even though here in the variable definition we have the full definition and how to get to that number, but no, it's not really the variable is not a shortcut to the definition of what's underneath. It's just shortcut to the value that's calculated at the place where we are calling that that value really, and when we are first referencing it. So let's go back to the correct variant again. So here I will reference the full measure sales once again, and let's see if that fixed our problem. Well, I forgot one little thingy. Let me fix that. And now our sales share in all countries should be exactly the same as the correct result that we had before. Yeah, maybe we're just having one more extra decimal point. And that's it. Just to be safe, let's also review what's underneath this measure, what's the definition. And well, you guessed it, it's pretty similar to what we had before. Okay, that's all for now. I hope that this was helpful for you and it has saved me and my teammates a lot of trouble and troubleshooting time just trying to re-evaluate a variable, which is not really possible because it's kind of a constant. Thanks and see you in the next episode.